Good morning, everyone, from Tokyo, Japan. It is now Saturday, April 16th, and for those of you who have been paying attention, you already know what has taken place, but I did want to give you an update on the latest developments out of Western Japan. And thank you for those of you who have contacted me and asked me about my welfare, because this has been significant in terms of the amount of earthquakes that have taken place over for past, we're talking about maybe 24 to 36 hours in a short period of time. We're fine here in Tokyo. Nothing has happened here specifically, though I do want to mention that I did receive a report of a very small quake located over off the coast of Chiba, which is the next prefecture over. But at the moment, it does not seem to be tied or related to the current developments over into Kumamoto Prefecture. So here's what we know so far. And so since most of you already know about it, let me give you some details that you hopefully may not have known. I'm going to try to show you some pictures that I've been able to get from NHK, which is the Japan Public Broadcaster, who has been trying to follow the story ever since it started developing on Thursday night. At 1:25 Saturday morning local time, a 6+ on the Shindo scale earthquake took place over in Kumamoto Prefecture. The 6+ means that this is more like the Macaulay scale. It is the JME seismic intensity scale. Out of a level of 7, 6+ is one of the strongest quakes that can be felt. And the reason why it was so strong is because, first of all, the magnitude was 7.3. It is not the Richter scale, but it is similar to that in terms of the actual activity that took place under the ground. But this particular quake was about 12 kilometers deep, so still very shallow. And it took place about 1:25 in the morning. And we are already getting reports that 9 people have died from this particular quake and 760 injured. This particular quake is also significant in the fact that it is a little bit stronger. Even though on the Shindo scale it was slightly weaker, because of the magnitude it is stronger and considered the main quake. So the big quake that took place Thursday night was considered a foreshock by experts. There is also the opinion that if it was on a different fault line, it could have shifted, then this would be a separate quake. Nevertheless, it is still impacting the same general area. What made things worse is that there was multiple aftershocks. A strong one, a 5- was took place at 7:11 on Saturday morning in Oita Prefecture, which is nearby, still on the island of Kyushu. This is continuing to be a serious situation. There was a tsunami advisory that was issued for the coastal areas nearby by JMA, but those were lifted about 50 minutes later. Take a look at some of the damage pictures that I was able to acquire from NHK, and you can just tell this is a very difficult and devastating situation. A landslide occurred. From my understanding, I was talking with meteorologist Sayaka Mori, my colleague, who was telling me that because of the quake, even though there was no rain that had moved through the area, at least not into the significant quantities that we had expected, already a landslide taken place. Communication has been disrupted. Sayaka was telling me that she has a friend over in Kyushu and saying that SoftBank was having problems. SoftBank is one of the major cell phone carriers, and they're having problems trying to establish communication because of the earthquake. So it is continuing to be a very difficult situation, and I mentioned about the heavy rainfall. The rainfall is expected to come in late Saturday into the day on Sunday, even though the center of low pressure is expected to move toward the Korean Peninsula. The warm sector of this low is expected to move into Kyushu, and that's a very unstable part of the system, which means thunderstorms, heavy rainfall, and enough to where we could see additional landslides. The Japan Meteorological Agency has already lowered the standard for heavy rain criteria for warnings and advisories because of the possibility of seeing the loose sediment turning into a flowing mud and debris. But unfortunately, it looks like that's still on track as we go forward throughout the next 48 hours, that the heavy rainfall is in picture. And with the aftershocks, people are trying to stay outdoors because the structures are taking a hit. And so people staying indoors, it's a bit of a threat to their livelihood at this point. So they're trying to go outside to be able to find some shelter. But with the rain coming in, this is going to make things even more difficult. And officials are trying to race against time during the next probably 18 hours or so to try to get to the people and try to clear them out of there before the rain starts to come in, and trying to find a way to evacuate all those that are currently located in these prefectures that are being hit very hard by these quakes. You can see the map here. This map is going to show you the various fault lines that are located right under Kyushu. This is what's making things even more difficult, is the fact that these lines are just right under the island, and that continues to be something that officials are monitoring. That's part of the reason why, even though there may be a foreshock, from Thursday night was a foreshock, and then the quake that happened Saturday morning may be the main shock, there's also the possibility that another fault, the focal point, had shifted, and therefore it could have been a second separate quake. Please continue to keep the people in your prayers. I will keep my eyes on the situation and let you know as soon as I get more information online. And thank you again for those of you who have been concerned and checking in on me. Hopefully we'll see the end of this, but unfortunately it also looks like that these quakes and the aftershocks will continue to take place for the next several days in the western portion of Japan. I'm Jonathan O, reporting to you from Tokyo. Hope you have a safe day wherever you are.